And then the other thing that you need to do is when you're working with Dreamweaver, or not Dreamweaver, but your editor, and you're manipulating that CSS, positioning is going to be very important because you can't actually manipulate the HTML. And so on page 274 through 278 in your book, it talks about positioning. And you have the ability to take any div tag and you can put in position, and you can position it absolutely or relatively. So if you position something absolutely, you can then give these top and left qualifications. So if I said top 100 pixels and left 100 pixels, what this is going to do is it's going to position this Zen explanation 100 pixels down from the top of the screen and 100 pixels off of the left from the left side of the screen. So let's see how that looks. If I go ahead and save it, and then I go in and I refresh, you can see that now I've taken this out of normal flow and I've positioned it on the screen in this way. Now, if I wanted to make it relative instead of absolute, and I do that, then you can see that it's gone up and to the side, but now participation is back in normal flow. So by doing it relatively, it's relative to other items on the screen, where when you do it absolutely, it takes it out of the flow from all the other elements. So you can use your positioning and your top and your left coordinates to decide where these elements are going to be from the top and the left of the screen. I could, if you do something like a negative level for absolute positioning, you can see that it'll actually put it over. So it's gone negative, so it's gone to the other side of the screen. You're not going to mess things up when you're working on this project. I mean, you might have a jumble and a whole bunch of things not working well together. But the idea of this project is for you guys to figure out how to move elements around on the screen using absolute and relative positioning, and by using your floats, which we've already talked about. And if you can float things around and you can move things, you will be able to take your design and implement your mock-up that you made and submit that to me. So you're not going to change any of the HTML, only the CSS, and you want to go through and start moving all of these items around. When you look at the HTML, you're going to notice that there are so many different classes and IDs for all different pieces of this puzzle that you're going to be putting together. There are also extra divs down here. So these are extra that you can use at your leisure. So you've got these classes called Extra 1, Extra 2, Extra 3, and you can use those to add other items if you need to that are not part of the HTML text up at the top. So have fun with this project. Your CSS, you can look at other CSSs. So you can look at the CSS from other examples. I gave you the examples of projects last week. So if you view the source of those projects, you can then go in and look and see how they've done it. You also can look at the CSS on the actual CSS Zen Garden. If you go to one of these designs and you want to look at how they did it, just view the source and click on the CSS so that you can see how it was done. And so this is the CSS that goes along with that example. And you can do the same thing with the CSS from our student examples as well, so you can see how they did it. But I have a lot of faith that you're going to be able to use the techniques that were taught in chapter 6 in your book to go in and manipulate your CSS style sheet so that you can change the way the HTML appears and you can make that match your mock-up. And I'm excited to see what you turn in next week. I hope you have a good weekend, and I will see you next week.